The rugged wild waters of the Atlantic coast are home to many specimen bass, the warrior of the ocean. And there's no better place to catch this majestic fish than along South Kerry's Wild Atlantic Way coastline. No matter what the conditions a visiting angler encounters, that will offer you the opportunity to go bass fishing. Again, the natural beauty that surrounds you might make concentrating on the fishing difficult, but your efforts are likely to be rewarded with that heart-stopping pull as you encounter a bass that is sure to excite your senses. We're delighted today to be in the company of an expert bass angler and guide, John Quinlan, who will give you some of the key tips and knowledge on how to approach bass fishing in South Kerry.
We're here in Waterville Bay. Waterville would be known as a bit of a mecca for bass anglers. It's particularly well known for big fish. We have a long season. We have bass pretty much all year round, but most of the fishing would take place really from April through to about November. People come from all over Europe and beyond to come and catch bass here. It's one of the advantages we have of this area is the coastline is very varied. So no matter what the wind conditions or the weather conditions, you can always find somewhere to fish. And that makes a big difference. There are other parts of the coast, and if the wind is the wrong way around, or if the swells are too big, you can't fish. But in Waterville Bay itself is like a big horseshoe. So because of that, no matter if the wind is north or south, you'll find somewhere where the wind will suit whatever type of fishing you want to do. If you're a fly angler, you normally need the wind behind you. So you can get that. If you're a lure fisherman, you're happy to have the wind in your face, which often is better for bass fishing. In Waterville, a lot of our anglers would come from the UK, from England and Wales.
We come once a year out to do the bass fishing here with John. 3-4 days at a time, sometimes 5 days. Love it. Come every year, yeah.
We're starting to see more from France. We've quite a few from Holland. They've got reasonable bass fishing in Holland, but the locations they fish in aren't anything like ours. They fish from man-made docks and canals. So even though they have fished there themselves, they much prefer to fish on beautiful coastline like we have here behind us.
It's not only about the fishing, it's the whole atmosphere, the relative peace and tranquility. I come from a beautiful area in England, Cornwall, but we have millions of people everywhere. And here you've got peace and quiet, and you can do your own thing without being overrun or getting involved in traffic jams. So that's a big bonus for me.
There are three methods of fishing for bass, three main methods for fishing for bass. You can fly fish for them if you want a challenge, you can lure fish for them, or you can bait fish for them. For fly fishing, you normally use, the standard would be a 9-foot, either 8-weight or 9-weight rod with a floating and intermediate line. And generally we're trying to imitate small bait fish, predominantly sand eels, but also sprat and some of the small gobies and blennies you get in the rock pools. We also imitate shrimp and crab as well sometimes, especially in the springtime when the bass are feeding on those. People who lure fish, the rods, generally we fish much lighter rods than we used to do 10 or 15 years ago. We're fishing generally 8'6", 9-weight specialist spinning rods, some of them quite expensive and imported from Japan and places like that. And they're generally rated to cast lures between 10 and 30 grams. You're using quite small spinning reels, and you always use braid, almost always use braid, 20 or 30 pound break and strain braid. And I would always fish a leader on the monofilament leader or a fluorocarbon leader on the end of that, just because the braid, if it touches a rock, it breaks off very easily. For bait fishing, longer, heavier rods, 11, 12-foot rods, you're normally casting here in the autumn months 3-ounce weights, and you're using maybe 15-pound main line. You can use braid, but people still use monofilament for bait fishing. And the main baits would be sand eel, frozen sand eel, peeler crab, or lugworm. Our regulations have changed quite a bit in recent years due to new EU regulations that have come in across all the north of Europe. Currently, in this area, in this part of Ireland, we're allowed to keep one bass per day all year, as long as it's over 42 centimetres. In the rest of Ireland, you cannot keep any fish before the 1st of July, and then you're allowed to keep one per day from the 1st of July until the end of the year. This may change from year to year. It depends on what the EU decides. So it's up to you to look on a website or check and see what the regulations are. I mean, by and large, we put a lot of our fish back. Some people put all their fish back, but we do keep the odd one for a pot, and they are very tasty on a barbecue or on a frying pan sometimes. Just now and again, as long as you don't overdo it, I think.